Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're digging into a wild story about a trader who lost a fortune. I'm talking nearly $85,000, only to claw it all back, and then some. This is the Shijumon Antony method.
70 lakhs. Just let that number sink in. That's how much money IT professional Shijumon Antony lost in the market before he finally cracked the code. But for him, this wasn't really a failure. It was the tuition fee for his real education in trading.
So how in the world does someone go from just bleeding money for a decade, all while holding down a full-time job, by the way, to developing a mindset that actually masters the market? Well, his journey pretty much tells you everything you need to know. All right, let's break it down.
Okay, so Shijumon's story doesn't start with some big dramatic explosion. No, it's more like a slow, grinding war that I think a lot of traders out there will find painfully familiar.
For almost 10 years, he was just stuck in what he calls a boom and bust cycle. You know the feeling, right? He'd have a good run, make some cash, think, okay, I've finally figured this out. And then, bam, the market would just claw it all back, and usually even more. And the worst part? Every single rupee lost was funded by the salary from his day job.
And this quote, this was a huge moment for him. He realized he wasn't a trader, he was just a pass-through. Any profits he managed to squeeze out from one strategy, say option selling, were just being instantly eaten alive by his losses from another, like option buying. He wasn't building anything, he was just churning his own money until it disappeared.
So by the end of 2018, he's at rock bottom. But there's a massive event coming up, India's 2019 general election. And this time, instead of just reacting to all the noise and chaos, he did something totally different. He actually hit the books.
Yeah, he completely shifted. He stopped being a gambler, and he became a market historian. He dug deep into the data from the last few election cycles, and what did he find? A clear, repeatable pattern in how the market behaves, super high volatility, crazy expensive premiums, and a predictable series of moves. This wasn't a hunch anymore. This was his data-driven edge.
So armed with all this research, he didn't just trade the 2019 election, he attacked it. And the result? It was honestly just unbelievable. He multiplied his capital 20 times over. He recovered the entire 70 lakhs he'd lost over the last decade in just a few months. What a spectacular, life-changing comeback.
But hold on, here's the brutal twist. He won the battle, but he still hadn't won the war. See, after the election, the market calmed down, volatility just vanished, but he kept using that same aggressive, high-volatility strategy. He hadn't learned how to defend his capital. The market gave him everything back, and then, just as fast, snatched most of it away again. This is where the real transformation began.
That second loss, man, that painful loss, was the real catalyst. It forced him to stop looking for some magic formula and start building a real philosophy, one grounded in hard-won rules about the market, and, maybe more importantly, about his own psychology. So what did he finally figure out?
He basically boiled down his entire painful decade of experience into 3 simple core rules. And what's so fascinating is they have almost nothing to do with fancy indicators or complex math. It's all about psychology, risk, and just radical simplicity.
So his first rule is almost shockingly simple. He says, clear the clutter. Forget about the 50 different indicators that just create noise and make you freeze up. Just look at the clean chart. Is the price moving up or is it moving down? He argues this is the single most important piece of information, and it's the one we bury under all this useless complexity. The primary trend, that's the only story that really matters.
And this right here, this is the key to how he actually trades. His decision to get out of a trade has nothing to do with hitting a profit target or being scared of a loss. The only question he asks is, has the price action, the market's story, given me a signal that this trend is over? That's it. He follows the market's signals, not his P&L.
This chart just brilliantly shows you the complete mental flip you have to make. The typical trader is totally driven by emotion, right? They average down on their losers because of hope, and they cut their winners short because of fear. Shijumon does the exact opposite. He adds more to his winning trades, and he cuts his losers based on his process. He turns conventional trading psychology completely upside down.
So you might be asking, how does he actually handle the intense emotions of trading? Well, he uses this simple but incredibly powerful mental trick. He doesn't see money. He sees points in a game. That little bit of emotional detachment is what lets him execute his plan objectively, without the panic or greed that just destroys most traders.
And finally, his risk management. It's proactive, not reactive. He's not just relying on stop losses to save him. He controls his risk by limiting how much ammunition he even brings to the fight, by keeping just a fraction of his capital in his trading account and pulling it out when conditions aren't good. He makes it structurally impossible to blow up his account. Think about it. You can't lose money that isn't even on the table.
So at the end of the day, Shijumon's decade-long journey wasn't about finding some secret indicator or holy grail strategy. It was about paying a very high price to finally learn that the real battle was never against the market. It was always against himself. His success is built on bulletproof discipline and mastering his own mind. Shijumon Antony learned to listen after a 70-lakh lesson. And his story really forces every one of us to ask a tough question. When you look at your charts, are you truly reading the story the market is telling you? Or are you just staring at the scoreboard of your own profit and loss?